Ladies and gentlemen, this happened without a lot of fanfare. It's probably the most important thing that took place the past couple of days. One of the most important things, at least. Now, this is in the Washington Post. This is an article by Aaron Blake. This vindicates and validates everything that we have been saying on this channel. In addition, of course, it'll beat Clinton 2020. It'll be the biggest political call in the history of media and American politics by yours truly. I don't want to, pat myself on the back, but fine. Clinton's running again. I wrote about that in 2017. But anyway, Democrats remove bribery and Mueller in Trump impeachment articles. But is that the smart play? It's the only play they have. After the IG report that showed 17 inaccuracies, omissions, complete fabrications, falsifying of documents. They falsified information 17 times on 3 separate documents related to investigating Carter Page. They gamed the system, and they still lost. The establishment, this is perhaps a first in world history. Well, I guess maybe not a first, but the establishment is losing to a person outside of the establishment. Well, you could say, well, Trump is really part of this. He is and he isn't. The intelligence community, media, the Democratic Party, Hollywood, extremely, extremely influential billionaires, they're all up against Trump. The tech industry is up against Trump. Bezos just lost a $10 billion deal, and you can include him within the list of people from Eric Schneiderman to Al Franken to Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Stormy, Avenatti, Michael Cohen. What else? I mean, you could just, the list of people who went up against Trump, and it didn't work out. But Mueller, they did not put... Here, Democrats have known for a while that they were going to impeach President Trump. They just needed to figure out exactly what for. This is literally the article. That's not how you impeach a president. But anyway, that's not why you would impeach a president. While the current inquiry is focused on Trump's actions with regard to the Ukraine, looming in the background was Robert S. Mueller III's extensive existing report on potential obstruction of justice by Trump in the Russia investigation. Guess what? You can't have obstruction of justice on an investigation that should never have been created or started. The IG report, whereas it's Michael Horowitz stated there was no documentary or testimonial evidence. Well, what do they expect? James Comey to write, I, James Comey, along with Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, James Baker, Andrew McCabe, Kevin Kleinsmith, Case Agent 1, and a whole bunch of other people, utilized America's bureaucratic and political establishment, including the nation's highest law enforcement agency, to utilize research in order to fabricate a criminal probe without actually a predicate crime, just the assumption or the possibility that something existed. Signed, James Comey. Oh, and we utilize the high confidence assessments of intelligence community chiefs and leaders that don't like Trump, and also we did so knowing that John Brennan only does intelligence but not evidence. Because Brennan literally says, I do intelligence, not evidence. And we utilized a tech firm outsourced by Democrats to then indict people in a special counsel started by memos of a disgruntled, fired FBI director, which is me, James Comey. Signed, James Comey. And everybody, you got to sign this document for the testimonial and documentary evidence for Horowitz. Okay, Lisa Page, sign here. Andrew McCabe, sign here. Okay, Strzok, sign there. Yeah, we will say, you know what, you should put, Peter, we will stop, in parentheses, Trump, we will stop Trump, Strzok. Yeah. He should lose 1 million to 0 Strzok. So obviously they can't utilize obstruction because they didn't even believe there was obstruction. Why aren't they utilizing the collusion with Russia? Because there was none. Why aren't they impeaching him on bribery? Because Biden's conflicts of interest is not a thing of value. It's inherently advantageous for Republicans, yes, because Biden and his son are complete train wrecks. The No Malarkey bus tour says we're only going to go one term. Well, that's hilarious. Usually, nobody says. Biden literally is stating that Clinton 2020 is imminent. He says, well, we're only going to serve one term. When we win, we're only going to serve one term. Who goes to the or to the NFL championship game and says, nah, you take it? Why? We don't want to win the Super Bowl. That's an un-American thing. Nobody goes halfway. A one-term president is viewed as a failure. You strive for 2 terms. But anyway, that's the Democratic Party. They can't look at the bribery because then Hunter Biden would be even more in the news. The way Democrats, you're talking about the neuroses here. You're talking about the neuroses of the most narcissistic, egotistical human beings. They initially tried to say that he was engaged in bribery because the thing of value was the potential corruption and wrongdoing and the overt conflicts of interest pertaining to Biden and his son. That was the thing of value. Yeah, you know what? Stop cheating Bernie Sanders, then the DNC emails would never have been a thing of value. There would have been no interference. Because the only interference was people finding out that, you cheated a candidate. And then Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign in disgrace. We can go on here. In the end, though, they decided to go narrow and nebulous. In 2 impeachment articles they just announced, there was no mention of bribery or obstruction of justice. Instead, they've gone with obstruction of Congress, not obstruction of justice in the Mueller probe, which wasn't handled by Congress. Yeah, well, that's the hilarious thing. And this is The Atlantic. Democrats have failed to prove their case against Trump. This is hilarious. This is really hilarious. The Atlantic. When The Atlantic is publishing that type of article, it's game over for Democrats. So, you're looking at a situation, this is really, really amusing. They spent 3 years saying that Trump worked with Russia, and they're not even impeaching him on that because they have no evidence he worked with Russia. The rebuttal is, what about the 200 times he met with Russians? If that was misconduct in any of those meetings, first of all, the whole thing's nonsense. A lot of it is like complete fabricated nonsense from Democrats who are completely delusional regarding a whole bunch of, Trump Jr. wanted to get Clinton's emails. They were about yoga emails. The deleted emails were supposed to be about yoga, so what's the problem? She deleted only yoga emails. But anyway, if there was any illegal activity, he would have been indicted. Whereas with Clinton, there was illegal activity. She had top secret and special access program intelligence on servers, but Comey said no reasonable prosecutor would indict. Their whole thing was no reasonable prosecutor. Mueller was the prosecutor. He had a whole bunch of prosecutors. They were not reasonable to Trump, and they couldn't find anything. Just like Matt Gaetz is not Hunter Biden, you have the Mount Everest of, bizarre, hilarious, amusing, sad, pathetic behavior. And then you have Matt Gaetz, who, definitely his past, he's not perfect at all. But nothing compared to, that's just my Hunter Biden. So, Democrats are playing a game that they've played since Bill and Hillary had to deal with Whitewater in Arkansas. It's always, we're the victims, they're trying to cheat us, they're trying to hurt us. Everything's morally relative. Well, they're just as bad, and you're just trying to. It's all projection, and it's this Clintonian type of projection. They were guilty of working with Christopher Steele, a foreign national, Ambassador Downer, a foreign national, Joseph Mifsud, a foreign national, the intelligence agencies of other countries, foreign nationals. They did so under the guise or the pretext of, well, this is a formal government investigation. But the people conducting the investigation were also the people who covered up Clinton's criminal activity when it came to servers with top secret intelligence. That's what James Comey stated. There were servers with top secret, 110 over 100 email chains that were almost certainly compromised by the entire planet. And he said no reasonable prosecutor, and then Strzok actually deleted references to gross negligence, which relates directly to U.S. Code 793F, the legal statute. You don't need intent. There's no intent in that statute. If top secret intelligence is found anywhere outside of the United States government's intranets, Joint Worldwide Intelligence Communication System. These are intranets within the United States government. They are not meant for you to upload to Facebook special access program and tell you can't do that. But that's essentially what Brian Pagliano and all these people around Clinton did. If I know this, don't you think William Barr and John Durham know this? But that's not even the issue. The issue is they covered up Clinton's activities by saying, well, Trump did worse. But they couldn't find anything that he actually did. So they used a dossier that was purchased by Clinton. And I write this in the Federalist, and it was shared by Rush Limbaugh twice. The article's below in the pinned comment. This is so obvious what's taking place. It is so obvious. Then they started the Mueller probe, found nothing. Then they said, well, he was going after his political opponent in a conversation with the Ukrainian President Zelensky. Zelensky himself stated there was no leverage. There was no pressure. He wasn't pressured. A phone conversation is not a break-in like Watergate. A phone conversation is not what did I do in the Oval Office? It's not what Bill Clinton received. Well, he lied about it. That was the criminal activity. It was perjury under oath. But a phone conversation, they cannot prove, they have no evidence that that Trump withheld the assistance because he was so worried about Biden. Number one, no one's worried about Biden. Even Biden isn't worried about Biden. He's like, I'll serve one term, whatever. I can give 1 term, 2 term. I don't want to even. You know what? How about 2 years? How about 1 year and we hand it off to somebody else? Okay, I'll just get rid of the record low unemployment and wages going up and a great economy and a scaled back U.S. foreign policy. First president to step foot in North Korea. We'll do away with all those things. I'll serve 1 year. How about a half a year? Soon Biden will be like, give me a couple weeks in office. I'll pass the baton to somebody else, and then I'll go vacationing. Nah, who needs 2 terms? What kind of presidential candidate runs on, oh yeah, I'll be so good, you'll get me for 2 terms. Come on. I'm Biden. It's Clinton 2020. They're going to lose again to Clinton. I mean, Clinton is going to lose again to Trump. In their minds, they won. And they'll say, Trump is breaking norms, let's do away with the Electoral College. Trump is breaking norms, let's pack the courts. Trump is breaking norms, let's use the FBI against our political opponents. As if the FBI and DOJ were autonomous under President Obama. That's funny. Give me your thoughts below. They removed any reference to Mueller or bribery within the articles of impeachment. Why? Because it would point right back to Hunter Biden. It would point right back to the IG report. It would point right back to Case Agent 1. There are all these. Look, this isn't the first time ever the FBI was corrupt. Go ask anybody from Boston who understood what took place there with John Connolly and other FBI agents who engaged in criminal activity and are serving time in the big house 40 years for John Connolly. So John Connolly, he was sentenced to 40 years because he was feeding information, basically engaging in criminal acts, grandiose criminal acts. 40-year sentence. And it wasn't just John Connolly in the Boston FBI. There was a whole bunch of other FBI agents. And that wasn't even the only city this happened in. And that wasn't even the only era where this happened in. The notion that it was done under. We were worried about the Russians. No, you were worried because Peter Strzok said we'll stop Trump, and that was the mentality of people like Brennan and Comey and Clapper and Strzok and McCabe and all of them. And now they're impeaching Trump, and they're not even using the Mueller probe. 3 years of American history wasted. And they're not using bribery because then they'll look back and maybe it's how is our potential corruption and conflicts of interest with Hunter Biden and Joe Biden? How is that a thing of value? Let's look into it. Then they say, then they'd find out, my God, Trump was actually right. Give me your thoughts below. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel this second. Thank you.